The food you stored for winter is gone. Not almost gone. Gone. The animals you normally track have moved somewhere you can't follow because the snow is too deep to cross. Spring should have arrived by now. It hasn't. You wait. Another week, then another. For most of human history, this wasn't a rare disaster. It was a recurring possibility built into the calendar every single year. And what you'd actually have to do to survive it reveals something most people have never heard about. The first threat is starvation, and it starts long before the food actually runs out. You'd have known this was coming. At Qesem Cave in Israel, researchers found something remarkable, dating back 420,000 years. Humans there were wrapping animal bone marrow in skin and burying it deliberately for later, sometimes for up to 9 weeks. Not leftovers, rationing, planning for exactly this moment. But rationing only stretches so far. If winter runs long enough, it doesn't matter how carefully you planned. The marrow runs out, and then you're hunting in snow too deep to move through quickly, tracking animals that have already left. The second threat is the cold itself, and it kills faster than hunger does. At Boxgrove, in southern England, archaeologists found evidence of humans hunting successfully nearly 500,000 years ago, during one of the coldest stretches in prehistoric climate history. Cut marks on bone, a horse shoulder blade, pierced clean through by a wooden spear. Here's the part that should stop you. These humans had no sewn clothing yet, no needles, nothing but raw hides draped over bare skin. You're standing in that same cold, in that same hide, and at some point, draping stops being enough. And here's where it gets genuinely strange. At Cima de los Huesos, a fossil site in northern Spain, researchers examined ancient bones and found something they didn't expect. Seasonal patterns of disrupted growth, the kind normally seen in animals that hibernate. Some researchers think this means exactly what it sounds like. When food ran out completely and cold became severe enough, some early humans may not have fought through winter at all. They may have slowed down, slept for extended stretches, burned stored fat instead of searching for food that no longer existed. This is still debated. Not everyone accepts it, but nobody has fully explained the bones another way. If it's true, survival sometimes didn't look like fighting. It looked like disappearing. The third threat isn't the cold or the hunger. It's the person next to you. When food runs out and shelter is limited, tension doesn't stay theoretical. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups under extreme resource stress have documented sharp spikes in conflict, exclusion, even violence, once a famine drags on long enough. Winter didn't just test the world outside your shelter, it tested everyone inside it. So how did you actually make it to spring? Around 30,000 years ago, something changed. Archaeologist Brian Fagan has called it possibly the single most important invention in human history. The needle, small, precisely shaped, a hole for thread. For the first time, you could sew fitted, insulated clothing instead of just draping a hide and hoping. That one object changed how far north you could survive and how long a brutal winter could actually be endured. Shelters changed too. Hide-covered tents built around a blazing hearth that threw heat back off rock walls. And on open, treeless ground where nothing else was available, entire domed huts built from a lattice of mammoth bones. None of it made winter safe, but stored marrow, sewn clothing, and engineered shelter, each one bought you time. And time was the only thing that mattered. There's proof this preparation still mattered thousands of years later. When Ötzi, the 5,300-year-old man found frozen in the Alps, was examined, researchers found more than tools. He was carrying fire-starting equipment, specifically because losing the ability to make heat, even that late in human history, could still kill him. The lesson hadn't changed in 500,000 years. Preparation wasn't optional. It was the entire difference between making it to spring and not. So here's the full picture. Starvation, held off by rationing that could still fail. Cold, endured with hides and fire until sewn clothing finally changed the equation. And possibly, in the worst years, survival that looked less like fighting and more like disappearing into stillness until the world got better. Every human alive today descends from someone who lived through a winter that refused to end on schedule and found a way through it anyway. The next time winter feels inconvenient to you, something to complain about between a warm house and a heated car, remember what that season used to actually demand. For most of human history, reaching spring wasn't guaranteed. It was the entire point of everything that came before it.